Is it good? Okay. All right. A Verizon commercial, huh? Can you hear me? Oh gosh. Well, I have notes. Where are they? Here they are. I wanted to tell everybody, I'm surprised there's so many people here because did you see what we're discussing tonight? It's design. I mean, are you guys ready for that? Yes. Now the lights are down. You guys gonna be snoring halfway through. No, I'll do my best to not have you be bored. Catherine said, we really want to know how you do your abstracts. How do you come up with your ideas? And so I have gotten into almost a formula way of painting. And I'm going to share that formula with you tonight. And I kind of hate formulas. So part of me is like, oh, shoot, now I know that this works, this works, this works. And you kind of want to stray from it, you know. So I am continually wanting to grow, you know, and change. And every year I set goals for myself. How many of you do that? No, I can't see very many hands. It's really dark out there. But I think I only saw 2. Anyway, goals. I started this about, I don't know, 10 years ago, and I yearly make a goal for myself. And it used to be very, very simple. I used to do, in fact, I brought painting. I have taken from him too, is John Salmonen. How many? Say yes so I can hear you.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, so John Salmonen is, I call him my mentor. I don't actually bug him like you do mentors. I mean, I don't call him and all that stuff. I'd like to, but I don't. But I do constantly look at his paintings. I have one of his originals, and I look at his paintings and I say, okay, if my painting was right next to his at a show, would I feel okay, or would I want to grab it off the wall and go run home? You know. And so that is that's how I think of John as a mentor. And I know I have had from time to time questions, and he's just one of the nicest guys there is about sharing. So then I wanted to give credit to 2 other people, and Pat Undis. I think Pat's here tonight, aren't you, Pat? Yeah. There she is. Pat taught me that one value should dominate. Did you guys know that? That's kind of that was like an aha moment. We co-teach a workshop up at the North Shore, up at Superior Shores every February, by the way. And I think they're taking registrations for that right now. And it usually fills up pretty fast. So if you want 3 days of painting up in the cold country with a beautiful view of Lake Superior, with swimming and saunas and everything available, you know, we have a ball. We really do. So Pat paints totally different than I do. She does traditional and wet and very fast. And I do abstract and more on dry and very slow. So we have a good time. Then the third person that I just never want to go without giving credit to is Carlin Holman, and I know you all know her, right? Yes. So Carlin introduced me to abstracts for the first time, and she made it so easy and fun. And so that's what I try to do in my workshops, but then I get carried away with the design thing and it gets a little harder. But anyway, so Carlin Holman, yeah. So in 2003, I developed several ways of creating good design, and I'm actually writing a book about it right now, but I've been writing that book for 5 years. So that is one of my goals this year, is to get at least 6 chapters done so that I can submit it to North Star, because our Northern Lights, North Lights, not Northern Lights. Northlight wrote me a letter when I was in Splash, you know, the Splash series book. I was lucky enough to get in Splash 6. And they wrote me a letter and asked me to write a book. And I thought, But here's what they did. They put "Dear Artist" and then they crossed out "Artist" and wrote my name. So I thought, what do you think? Maybe 500 of these went out? I mean, everybody. So I asked other people that were in Splash 6, and no, they hadn't gotten a letter. So then I thought, well, maybe I should take this a little more serious. Well, anyway, how many Splash books do they have now? 13, 12, 13. Anyway, that's how long ago that I got that letter. So that's my goal this year. That, and you'll laugh at this, trying to work with more grays. It's not easy for me. I'm struggling with it, but I think it's time. I always like to put myself a little bit out of my comfort zone. So, okay, so we'll start in. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Now I just want to show you just real quickly. I'll go through these. I actually have 3. Okay, so I thought, we're in the dark. I thought originally it'd be kind of fun if you guys found paper in your purse and a pencil or something and did a design sketch with me. So those of you who are taking notes, I challenge you to do this with me. And this is so one of the ways that I get my ideas for my abstracts is to go through magazines. I know you guys know this little trick, where you just take like a 1-inch square. Have you ever done that? Just take, you take a couple of, oh, that comes in when I go like this, doesn't it? A couple of L-shaped mats and close in until you only have 1 inch. And what that does is it simplifies down the design so simple that you can't get too, it's really a good thing. So you don't get too fancy with it. And I am the queen of putting everything but the kitchen sink in a painting. So I really struggle with that a lot. But here's one that I blew up. I didn't think you guys would appreciate this, right? So here's what I blew up, and here's how I do it. I basically have 3 rules. You don't cross any lines. You don't lift your pencil. And then I work either one way or the other. I just always say clockwise so that I get it down. But whatever you do, I just don't want you to cross any lines, and I don't want you to lift your pencil. So I'll start down here at this bottom. Can you see that? Mm-hmm. Okay. So this is a counter in a kitchen. And so here I've got down along here, and I'm going along. And if I want to, I could draw those bottles. There's some wine bottles, or, you know what, I don't even think they're wine bottles. I was thinking they were. That shows where my mind is. All right, so then I got an angle here, and then a little reflection here, and then a little ball here. And then my object is to get up to the top of the page. Then I got this curve that is what attracted me to it in the first place, and up. Now once I get to the top of the page, then I just follow along the edges of my little box here. And now I come here. And I'm going to purposely do this just so that, I don't know where I can get into trouble, but I want to show you how you get in trouble. Let's say I'm not looking at my paper and I go like this. What did I just do wrong? There we go. Good job. So then I'm going to go like this, and then down, and here, and then see this white line right here? Go across here, and attach to the side here, and then back to where I started. Okay. So then what I do is I color in the corners. Now, I wish you guys were timing me. People say they don't have time. They don't have time for this. This takes 3 minutes, you know. And that's all I do. This is how fast I work with it. And I just get this in here. Is anybody doing it with me? I bet yours weren't the same as mine. Isn't that neat? when you don't look, they're all a little bit different. I always say to my students, do really good coloring near your interior part. Get really good coloring near, so you can really check the lines and stuff. You can get messy out here, it doesn't matter, but up next to the whatever it is, you want to have it good. All right, so that's how simple this design is. Then I look at it and I say there's 4 things that, well, there's mainly 3 that I always say to my students. Repetition, variation, and dominance. There's 3 things that you have to remember. So, for instance, on this right here, where I've got a curve, and this is a frown curve, now I need a smile curve, okay? So this is down, so now I need to erase out, I could do. Now I can do this in other layers too, which is what I did for the demo today, but this would be an example, okay? So by putting this, I have repeated and varied. Easy, right? Because this is a big, this is a small, this is up, this is down. So this also has a nice little curve that is repeating there. Then what I do is if I have a long line and I want to entertain the viewer, so I'll just take a little jog in it. And just by doing that little bit, you know, it's a little bit more entertaining. And again, you can do this while you work with the other, with the other layers, because we start out really light, and so you can put in some of these opposites in later. So, okay, let's see. So, pretty fast, huh? That's how I start every painting. Every single painting. When I really like a design, then I use the same design over and over and over. Okay? Does everybody should I do a little painting? Are you tired of listening? I'm so worried you're going to fall asleep.
No.
Okay.
Karen,
What?
what was the 3rd point?
Repetition, variation, and balance. Or not,
Dominance.
Dominance.
Don't cross lines, don't lift your pencil, and what else?
Don't cross, and work in a clockwise manner or a counterclockwise. Whatever you start with, if you're left-handed, it's probably easier to go the other way. Is that right? I don't know. This is a value sketch, or a design. I call them design sketches because they're only 2 values. Okay, I stay with only 2 values. I add the 3rd after I get 3/4 of the way through the painting. And the reason is because now I can use this design sketch over and over and over on many, many paintings, and I have proof of that. So here's how it started. This was the first one that I did this way. And this is called Gold Dust. This actually has grommets in it. How am I doing on time? Start up.
Yeah, start up. Like 17 minutes to break.
All right, so I wet the whole paper to start with. Sometimes I will mask out if I really have a really tight design. I'll mask out some of the really skinny lines. But this first wash, because the paper is wet, is so light that even if I lose these whites completely, I can reclaim them with collage for one thing, or I can wipe it out and things. My first rule when I start a painting is I try to have neon colors near my center of interest. So I'm going between Ariel and Yellow and New Gamboge. And do you guys know the bookend rule?
Yeah.
Bookend rule means that if you have one color on one side of a bridge or a light pathway, whatever, you want to have the same color on the other side, and then you switch it, okay? So now I'm going to go between, I think part of my write-up said that I was going to talk about clean colors. So my clean color rule is just to think about the color wheel And I don't know when I started painting like a color book, but I've been doing that for the last few years. You know, you go like this. What's that all about? Anyway, so I went from yellow to orange to red. If I forgot what I was doing, and I accidentally, and I do, still do this. Let me put it down here. Okay, and so my husband is just a saint. But I have to listen to his golf stories too. So I want this lighter, so I'm for sure going to give that a squirt. I want this to invade my light pathway, just a little bit. I want it to go about half an inch beyond. That would be a perfect world. I happen to have a better one under the table, so I'm not even nervous. I don't care. Okay, so now when I think something is a little bit too bright, one thing that you can do is to add salt. That will eat away at the color. But I want this to be like a value 3. And I do not go like this with a Kleenex and try to blot it off, because that will cause clouds in here. And I don't want clouds in there. So, I'll put... Sure.
Well, they're not very bright lights, are they?
Now you're going to hear my snorting and everything. Okay, can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Yeah. Can you hear me now? Yes. Is it? Okay. All right. A Verizon commercial, huh? Can you hear me? Yeah. Oh gosh. Well, I have notes. Where are they? Here they are. I wanted to tell everybody, I'm surprised there's so many people here, because did you see what we're discussing tonight? It's design. I mean, are you guys ready for that?
Yes.
Now the lights are down. You guys gonna be snoring halfway through it? No, I'll do my best to not have you be bored. Catherine said, we really want to know how you do your abstracts. How do you come up with your ideas? And so I have gotten into almost a formula way of painting. And I'm going to share that formula with you tonight. And I kind of hate formulas. So part of me is like,